This is KBC English Service.
This is the best of breakfast with Angela Mwihaki. And we're going to get into something that, yes, makes it difficult for those who we care about when we see them in such conditions. A very good morning to you. It is 10 minutes to 8. It is time for our big conversation. 2 million Kenyans in 24 counties are infested with jiggers. Another 10 million people are at risk of infestation. This is clearly a medical and social and economic problem facing many Kenyans. The first ever Jigger Awareness Day will take place tomorrow, and therefore we are delighted to be able to talk about this before tomorrow. And we're joined in studio by my colleague Jane Mumbi, who is here to tell us about the research that she carried out on the impact of jigger eradication campaigns. Very good morning, Jane.
Good morning, Angie.
And maybe you could help us. Let's start with just kidogo. What are jiggers, and why people are vulnerable to them? Because I'm sure that was part of your research.
Yeah, by the way, I found out that jiggers are all over.
We have them everywhere,
and they're not just in this country. They're in Africa, in other countries in Africa, and even in some parts of Asia.
Okay.
Yeah, so they are all over. It's a problem that does not just affect this country alone.
Okay.
And it is not a community thing. There's some people who think that it's a problem of one community.
Yes.
Especially in this country, jiggers are all over. It's a big problem.
It's a huge problem.
It's a huge problem, yes.
So, did you find out why are people vulnerable to them?
To jiggers? There are several reasons.
Yeah.
And I can tell you there are people who think that it is witchcraft.
Wow.
Especially people from Western Kenya. Okay. They think that because a certain family has been invested with jiggers, that is a family that is involved in witchcraft. Ama kuna watu amewaroga.
Okay.
But that is not the case. One of the biggest problems is dirt.
Okay.
It is dirt. It's a hygiene problem.
Yeah.
And if people do not live well, if people do not clean their places,
yes,
if people do not sweep where they live, it's a hygiene problem.
It's a hygiene matter.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So, and of course, when we talk about hygiene, we had a little chat just before this, and we were talking about traditionally how we used to live. It's a thing that contributes, and I was talking about how I remember my grandmother.
Yes.
We had the traditional kitchen in one area, and in the kitchen you had the itara, you had the place where you put the animals. Some of these cultural ways that we housed our animals.
When you talk about the way we used to live,
yes,
I was brought up near my grandmother's place.
Yes,
and my grandmother used to live in a mud, the mud hut. And the biggest portion of her hut was for her goats.
Yes,
her precious goats. She would not sleep where her goats are not. And the manure and everything
is still there.
It is still there. And there was no reason why her goats and her sheep and everything else would live away from her.
Okay.
Yeah, and if goats lived with her, you can imagine chicken.
There were chicken there.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was
places, the cat.
Even the dog that is supposed to be out, guarding the compound, sometimes it would live in the house.
And this is the kitchen area. And you put a little bed on the side.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the beds sometimes is not the conventional bed we know.
No.
Yes. If we start explaining that, it's a discussion of
it will take forever. But just think, most of us, I think, have had the privilege to see those round huts and the bed with either animal hides or something. Yes. So it's not at that gisty bed.
No.
It was a basic structure.
No.
So now tell us, this is a research you did for your master's.
Yes.
What was your research exactly about?
I was researching basically on the communication campaigns. I'm a communication student.
Yes.
So I was evaluating the communication campaigns that have been done, especially in Murang'a, in Mathioya, and to see whether they're effective, to see whether the people who are targeted in these campaigns have had a change, and especially the children. And I understand Cecilia is supposed to be with us.
Yes, she should be on her. We're expecting her.
She was the object of my evaluation because Cecilia is a celebrity.
She was the face of the Jigger. Yeah. She is the face of the Jigger campaign.
She is the face of the Jigger campaign.
Right.
Remember, she was a Miss Kenya, most beautiful person by then. And she is doing a campaign on children, rural children, in primary schools, right in the middle of Murang'a. So my interest was, you see, when you go into research, you have your assumptions.
Yes.
My assumptions were that Cecilia, being such a celebrity, an elite, living in the city,
in Nairobi,
you know, and moving all over, you know, in the US and everywhere. My worry was, my assumption was that she cannot be the face of this campaign.
That people on the ground would not relate to her.
They would not relate. That is what I thought, and that is what and because she was doing that campaign, was it successful? That is what I wanted to find out. Is it successful? Can these kids relate to Cecilia? Yes.
And so now you started your research and you focused in Murang'a. Actually, that's where the campaigns had started.
I focused in Mathioya, Murang'a County. I went to selected primary schools. I could mention the schools. The primary school called Mihoti, Kanjahe, Yetuge, Ngoto, Idendo, Shoi, Karunge. There are two Karunges, Karunge A and Karunge B. So in these particular schools, primary schools, you'll have to narrow down. I narrowed down to pupils of standard 6, 7 and 8 who had participated in this campaign, the Jigger campaign. Basically, these kids had earlier been infested with jiggers.
And had been treated.
And
taught about
how to keep off jiggers. So they became the face of the other of the campaign. They became like ambassadors to other children, especially in that region. Yes.
And was it successful? Were they able, to?
This campaign was successful. Yes, it proved it proved my assumptions wrong. It was very, very successful, and basically it was very successful because of how it was done. They called Ahadi Trust. Yes. Whose main ambassador is Cecilia. The interactions, because of the interactions they did, especially Cecilia, with the kids, with some of the things they used were sports.
Yes, which is what children like, activities to engage them.
Yes. Boys were engaged in football, in other activities, girls in netball. And you see, Angie, these kids who are kind of deformed. Because jiggers deform, jiggers destroy. Do you know, while there, I discovered that there are even adults whose private parts have been infested. These people cannot sire, these people cannot have meaningful relationships with their spouses. Jiggers can even affect your head.
Because me and you, it is feet. When you were small, you'd go to show, you come back with jiggers in your toes.
Let me tell you, jiggers can even infest your breasts.
Oh my God.
Yes, I saw cases. They can infect
anywhere.
They can affect any part of your body.
Wow.
I saw men who are not able to sit down.
Oh dear.
Because the whole of your bottom is
infested. Oh dear.
And no wonder some of them say that it is witchcraft. Because you see some people and you cannot believe it. You see some people and you're like, sometimes you'd rather even suffer from something.
Your number one radio. KBC English Service.
Studio, we have with us my colleague Jane Mumbi, who did a research on the efficacy of the campaign done by Ahadi Trust, and we have also been joined by Cecili Mwangi, who is a Jigger Awareness Ambassador for Ahadi Kenya and Miss World Kenya 2005. A very good morning, ladies, and welcome, Cecilia.
Good morning.
So you've come just in time. We were just sharing with Jane, and she was giving us her research on her masters, and we were getting to the question where, what are some of the things that you learned about jiggers that you had not known about? And you were just scared, the scary part of that. Jiggers are not just, you don't just find them on the toes and the feet. They can infest any part of the body.
Yes, and I mentioned including the private part.
Yes, I'm still recovering from that one.
Cecilia has seen it all.
Yeah,
I had just mentioned to you, Cecilia.
Yeah.
And said in one of the boys, I had said that off mic.
So you can mention that now. Yeah, one of the findings when you were talking to your class 7, 8, and class 6, 7, 8.
Yes.
What were they saying?
There was a class 6 boy in Mathioya who said that she had never seen anybody as beautiful.
Oh my God.
And when it comes to the time to get married, he would look for somebody exactly as beautiful.
I'm glad I set a pace for someone.
Yes, so the girls are under serious pressure.
Yes. But let me tell you, for some reason, first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for this forum. And it's been great. It's been a journey, because some of the people who we've met have actually changed my life completely. And most of the time, people used to think jiggers are normal,
Yes.
or jigger is a family that has jiggers is a caste family.
She mentioned that cursing and witchcraft and things like that.
And they used to be actually they are stigmatized in the community. But after the awareness has been created, people got to realize it's just a condition like any other, and when treated, you can actually heal and get rid of it. And you find a boy like that you met who was admiring me earlier.
Oh, he was
at times you find when they are in that dire condition, when they are so jigger infested, they don't get to see the beauty in you until when he recovers. Now he starts seeing, oh wow, now there are beautiful things in the world, because at that point in time he's in pain. He's been put aside in the community. He's not seeing anything good. But once you go down there, you humble yourself, wash him, give him medication, just encourage them, give them hope. That's when they get to see, wow, there's actually beauty in the world, and he gets to seeing, now I can
even
seeing a future.
I can even get myself a girl like her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
So before we get to Cecilia, on the details, Jane, when you started your research, you had opinions and thoughts. Now, what did you realize in your research? What did you know about jiggers before, and what did you learn after? What has changed for you?
A lot of things. Yeah?
You'll give me a few, because time is never on our side.
Because a lot of the people I had interacted with, the people I discussed with that I'm going to do research on this, I thought that people who have jiggers, I also would stigmatize them in a way, and I would look at them and say, people who don't know how to take care of themselves.
They're not clean.
People who are not clean. People, how would you if one jigger is so painful, and it is so itchy, and how would you let yourself be infested by hundreds of them? It means you are not careful. It means there's something wrong with you. That condemnation, that kind of thinking that you're not trying to bring these people to a kind of a human level. I did not understand a lot of things about these people, and I could not understand why somebody, and I
can
cannot
sit
even
and have 1, 2, 3, 4 jiggers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've also had that argument.
Yes.
People asking you, kama kamoja kana kusumbua, why would you let yourself? Actually, the phrase is let yourself.
And you don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
So Cecilia, before you came in, Jane shared her research. She did research in Murang'a County, Mathioya to be specific, on how
Oh, great.
how effective the campaign was. And she said from her results, her assumption was there would be a disconnect, considering you're this hot chick from Nairobi and you're going to Gishagi. But she says her research proved her wrong. It actually was very effective, because she was able to talk to kids who you had initially talked to and treated.
Yes.
And then as they recovered, they became the ambassadors in that area.
Yeah.
Now, what we need to know from you is, one, what makes people vulnerable to jigger infestation? And the question that she has asked, which we are all asking, how does somebody move from one to having it infested your foot, your private areas, anywhere? How does that happen? I mean, you don't realize there's more than one in you. How do they get to that point?
I'd like just to say, most of the time, just to put it clear, that most of the time you'll find a home that has jiggers is also, or there's also an element of poverty.
Yes.
You'll never find a clean child or a child who comes from a well-up family have a jigger, or if they do, they have one. But in a family that is struggling, they have priorities. You find one, we have issues on climate. There's no water. Yeah?
Yes.
Or if there's water, probably you find bucket.
It's not enough. I mean, let's talk about right now. We're under rationing. We're having problems.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's just you prioritize this water for cooking and all. And you find even so, when someone gets 20 shillings, they're looking at ni mtoto atakula, ni sabuni nitanunua. You know, some of those things. They're prioritizing some of those things. And you'll even find, even yourself as an individual, at times you could be out in the field, yeah, and you are so hungry, you do not even notice you're dirty.
Okay.
Until when you get something in your tummy, that's when you realize, that mtu sema nadinageko.
Yeah.
Mimi ni mchafu. But let me tell you, you find the people in the village, you find at times they didn't even have a meal, you know. Children actually rely on the food in schools.
Yes.
Because at home there is no food. So a bigger element of the jigger infestations that we see is poverty. And that person who's jigger infested, you'll find they do not have the luxury of having a change of clothes.
Okay.
If you noticed, even in the when you went to do the research, you find a child wearing a school clothes even on a Sunday, on a Saturday. They do not have the luxury of a change of clothes. They do not have a luxury of even a mattress. We have seen that. And even a blanket. Some of the people we have gone to homes, you know, you wonder, where do I start from? Do I treat jiggers? Do I repair their house?
Do you feed them first?
You know, there's so much need that you find clearly this person, a jigger on their feet is the last thing in their minds.
Yes. Okay, so that is quite serious. Now, first of all, let's look at, everybody says, now you're the face of the jigger campaign. How did you get into it, and how did this campaign even start? How did Ahadi decide we're going to focus on jiggers? Is it because they had relatives who had white jiggers?
It has a very interesting genesis. Our CEO, Dr. Stanley Kamau, actually hails from Mathioya, and he always had, every Christmas he used to host people at their home, and there was a time he was not able to, there was a crowd of people that were not able to turn up because they were jigger infested. They could not go to where the feast was. They could not get to eat with everyone because they are jigger infested and people did not want them around them, and some of them could not make it because they're disabled due to the jigger infestation.
Yes.
So that caught his attention. He went to the sub-chief then, who's the chief now, and he just asked, what is the statistics? How is this jigger menace like right now? And for some reason, she couldn't have a number in mind, but she said many people, a large number of the people in this community are actually jigger infested. And reason why you find that even in the place, like even in Mathioya, you'll find there are cattle dips that are closed.
Yes.
Because people no longer keep cows as such. People used to grow coffee before, they do not.
Yeah.
And you find before, because they were growing coffee, they had cows, they used to have the cattle dips on, they used to spray marathon, they never used to have jiggers. But now that has gone down, poverty level has gone high, you find now that the jigger infestation has gone up. So from then he came to Nairobi and he actually summoned celebrities and informed us, you know what, we have a problem that's called jigger. People laughed. People were like, really?
Me?
And then people were singing that famous song, Kamawa Joroge.
And I do took over. Yes.
People were just laughing at that. It was a joke at that point.
Yeah.
So that caught my attention because I don't come from Oranga, but I come from across the county. Because I'm from Modaya, so we share the same river.
Yeah.
So I told him, okay, for some reason, let me just see. Let's see, and then let me see for myself, and then I will know what to do or take the next steps. So we went to Getugi Primary School. Actually, Karunge Primary School, and asked the headmaster what is the number of pupils in this, what is the statistics of pupils who are infested in jiggers. You know, he just told me, mimi sitakwambia, wacha niwaite. Let me tell you, it was the whole school plus teachers. Yes.
Even the teachers?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. So you cannot set aside a pupil and the teacher. They all have. And he told me this is how bad the situation is.
Now let's move it on so people don't think it's not just Muranga.
No.
It is, you've been across the country.
Yes.
You've seen it everywhere.
Yeah. We can say no county in, not even in Kenya only, even in the region. No country can boast within the East African region that it does not have a jigger. There's jiggers, different what can I say, size of infestation. But you find the areas that are dusty, the areas that do not have very dry climatic conditions, you find they are highly infested.
So would we say the semi-arid regions may have higher because of the climate? The climate, it starts with the climate.
Soil,
okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I think from the way that both of you have mentioned, it sounds like jiggers can disfigure people and maybe even make them unable to move. Right. So when you treat them, can somebody recover completely, or if the damage is done, it's done?
Oh no, I've seen people who have totally recovered 100%. Pupils who have gone back to school and they excel, from being last in class to top 5 because they used to be uncomfortable when they had a jigger. And we as Ahadi Kenya Trust, that actually gives us another angle to look at it. Okay, we have given this child hope. I mean, I've seen a child who we removed jiggers from when they were in class 1 and we have seen them up to class 8 because as Ahadi we are 10 years and we are seeing, okay, she has told us, you helped me out of jiggers, I've worked hard, my parents are unable, so how do I do this? So as a Ahadi Kenya Trust, we've even partnered with partners who have been able to give scholarships to such pupils who have worked so well, Yes.
So now last year my colleague Geoffrey Mungai interviewed Stanley Kamau of your Ahadi Trust for the program Spotlight, and he told us that jiggers are more of a social problem than a medical problem. Right. And this is what he shared with us.
Jiggers is more of a social problem than a medical problem. It can be solved at the grassroots or at the homestead level. It's actually about hygiene. And what you realize is that you cannot be properly hygienic. You cannot be 100% hygienic if you are poor. In the sense that if you are poor, first of all, you can't afford a basin where you have to put water to wash. You can't afford clothing. That means if you are wearing clothes, you wear them for a whole year. You can't afford shoes. You can't afford soap. You can't even afford. There are some people who are so poor at the extreme poverty, they can't afford a single pin to remove one jigger. So they end up having multiple jiggers because even to remove that one particular one, they can't afford a pin. Because they are poor.
Using the same pin to remove jiggers from different feet propagates the infestation?
It does. It brings other secondary infestations. Right. But you see, if you had a pin to remove one jigger, you can avoid having multiple jiggers in your feet. So poverty is a major cause of jigger infestation.
So that is Stanley Kamau also reaffirming just exactly what Cecili and Mumbi have shared about jiggers being more of a social challenge rather than really a medical one. And my colleague Millicent Aroke has also been speaking on the phone to a lady called Heda Olo, a teacher in Muhoroni, just so we can see just the impact of jigger infestation, who came to the rescue of a family that was infested with jiggers. And this is the conversation.
Good morning, Mrs. Heda Olo.
Good morning to you.
Today we are having a show on jigger awareness. I would like you to share with us the experience you have had with jiggers in Nyanza. We know that you have helped a family in Muhoroni, on Nenonam village to be precise. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah, I once helped a family who had children with jiggers, a very young mother of 3. And as I was passing by their house in the evening at 8 p.m., the babies were crying. I got concerned. Then I came the following day in the morning and I looked at them. I asked her what was the problem, why were the babies crying? She told me the babies were crying because the jiggers were eating their legs. And when I checked their legs, they were swollen, the nails were swollen, and they were so painful and wet. Even her, she had jiggers until to the hand. So I suggested to her, please, could I please take you to the hospital in Kisumu, that is 50 kilometers away? She agreed, and the day after, I took her, plus her 3 babies and one more lady also who had the same problem. So when I went to Kisumu, I landed into Lumumba Hospital, and I found Brother Joel Odondi. He received us and he took us to the doctor. They were given good therapy. They were told how to take care of themselves, and then I was given a prescription to go and buy for them medicine. And I bought the medicine for them for washing beds and for swallowing and for smearing and for cleaning their floor. Then we came back 1 week. When I checked on them, they were doing wonderful. They were nice, and I brought them shoes. They were all great and wonderful, and I'm really, really happy for them. However, they are not staying near me anymore. They moved somewhere else.
Is this something that is all over Muhoroni, or was it just this family that had this problem?
No, it is not much. It is not much in Moroni. Once in a while, of course, you can see some people with it. It is not a lot. It's not that much.
Okay. And do you believe there is enough awareness on this?
Yeah, there's a bit of awareness. She was first of all an example, because from there she was wonderful, and she became healthy plus her children, and it was good.
So you did share that there should be more awareness on this.
Yeah, they should. And many people were asking me actually, and I told them that is the place to go. It was Lumumba Hospital, and they received us very well.
All right.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing this with us.
Thanks a lot.
All right, ma'am. Thank you.
Good day. Bye.
That's Hedolo, of course, sharing her experience in Muhoroni. And as you can hear, the jiggers are not limited to just one part of the country. But now, from what we've heard from Stanley, from Mumbi, and from Cecilia, this is more of a social matter. So how can we really, realistically, be able to battle this campaign? Because if it's not about health, it's about finances. How do we begin to tackle this challenge? I know as Ahadi Trust, you've started some campaigns in various parts.
Yes, as Ahadi Kenya Trust, we've started livelihood projects for the people who have recovered from jiggers, and we can actually see there is a lot of change, especially where we started off the pilot project that's in Muranga, where we have a 5-acre plantation, banana plantation farm, and this farm has been very helpful. The people who are actually tendering to these bananas are the people who were formerly jigger infested, and now they're working in the farms. They get something from the bananas. They are actually now adding value to the bananas, because there's actually a vendor who came in and said, once these bananas are ripe, I want to make flour out of these bananas.
Wow.
So it's good for them. And we've had very good partners and stakeholders who have worked with us this 10-year journey. And they are even coming with different ideas, like even poultry keeping, incubators in Kiambu. We have actually ladies who are keeping rabbits, There's so much we can do, and we even go out there and initiate projects with the women. You look at what does best in a certain location, because it's not a one-size-fits-all for all the counties. So whatever works best in that county, we bring all the people who we have treated together, and they form like a circle, or they form like a group, exactly, and they do something, and they actually sustain, and you get to realize there's so much potential that was being lost on these people.
Now, let's listen to the First Lady, Margaret Kenyatta, speaking during the launch of the national guidelines on the prevention of jiggers in 2015.
I'm happy to note that these guidelines emphasize a multi-sectoral approach which addresses underlying causes of jigger infestations, including awareness creation, social support, and poverty reduction.
Cecilia, could you tell us about maybe what these guidelines on prevention and control of jiggers are, and have they had an impact since 2015?
Well, I can say for sure we will start seeing the impact probably in another few months, because it was just launched. That was last year in March. And initially jiggers was being classified as just one of the vector diseases, like even it was being classified bed bugs, mosquitoes and all that. But now it has been set aside. It is actually an issue on its own, which needs to be tackled on its own. And from then on, you are seeing once this person recover, how do you empower them? That's how you raise their social life, and that's how you actually eradicate poverty in the society, on the same time eradicate the jigger in the society. So with the policy coming up in place, and we have the guidelines, we should now be able to have a clear roadmap on how we are totally going to eradicate jiggers in Kenya. And for some reason, for the first time actually in the world, we have a policy on how to eradicate jiggers, because no one knew about it. There was no article, there was no anything material about jiggers until Ahadi Kenya Trust started working on it. And now, the Kenya government, I'm so proud and I'm so happy that they have launched, they've even gazetted a Jigger Day for a national
awareness.
Exactly,
yes.
That is so good. That is actually we on the right path in eradication of the jigger menace.
And on that note, let's hear what people from different parts of the country have to say about jigger infestation in their regions.
My name is Priska Chepkwej from Bomet County. Many people from my county experience many challenges in terms of jiggers, especially my area, Bomet County, Soti constituency. They have not gotten any assistance from the government or hospitals, except from Red Cross, people who just came and washed their feet.
My name is Pablo Bongera. I come from Meru County, and I think jiggers, as the part that I come from, is not really a big problem, but I think there are most places in Meru that people are really affected by these jiggers, and I think the government has not done much in focus in these places. Like for us, we think a lot of people think Meru is developed and such things like jiggers cannot be found there, but I know for sure that there are other places that jiggers have affected people, and the government is so silent about that, and these people are supposed to be helped in any way possible.
My name is Kauthar Mohammed. I hail from northeastern part of Kenya, particularly from Wajir County. As far as I know, in Wajir County, we do not have that kind of disease, the jiggers, that is. I never heard of it ever before. Neither did I saw someone having that kind of disease.
Okay, so Cecili, at least from Bomet and Meru, we hear that they feel that the authorities have not done enough.
Yes.
What do you think that can be done to be able to create a better outreach?
Well, one, we have seen now that the government has embraced the National Jigger Awareness Day, 3rd of March. So it means that they have it in their radar, that it is actually an issue. And this awareness is actually for each and everyone to take responsibility. It actually takes a collective responsibility. As Ahadi Kenya, as the government, we have come out and we have shown the people how to get rid of jiggers in the society, how to go about it. If you see a neighbor or someone out there suffering from jiggers, what to do. They have even, the government has even opened up public hospitals for people to go get treated if you have a jiggers, or if you have seen a family that is jigger infested.
And it's at no cost.
Yes, you reach out to a public health officer and they attend to that person. So for sure, we are in the right direction. And we have pleaded, we have gone out, we have done campaigns, and you can clearly see government has listened.
So now Wajir, is it that it's too hot there, or have you heard of incidents in Wajir? Could it be the weather as well?
It could be the weather and also the soil. As I said, it all comes up with how the climate is
and the
environment. Yes.
Or this lady may not be aware.
Or she may not be aware of it. That's what I was wondering, because I know they're everywhere.
They're everywhere.
Now, we also understand that the jigger infestation in Makueni County is serious, and that many people are still suffering. And here is a clip we got from there.
Yes, I'm Joe from Sioki, from Makueni County. This thing about jiggers, it was in Makueni, so especially in Mboni constituency and Kisau and down to Makindu. There's a lot of jiggers there and people are suffering. Even in Kikumbulu, people are suffering so much. County government of Makueni under governorship of Professor Kifta Kibwana, last year they went to Mboni constituency and together in conjunction with Ahadi Kenya. So they had treated some children there because the jiggers were a lot. They offered some shoes for them. And in the beginning of the year, Ahadi Kenya came and sponsored some children who had passed KCPE very well to secondary schools. So the condition is still in Makueni is worse according to jiggers.
So we've heard, at least this is an affirmation of the work that you're already doing.
Yes.
But what can be done for the people in Makueni? It sounds like it's still a very serious condition.
We've had very good goodwill from the county government of Makueni. They actually, because Makueni is quite diverse, they actually bought 6 ambulance machinanis so that they can equip their social workers to be going around the homesteads to reach out to the people who are jigger infested.
Wow.
And we went to actually analyze how the situation has been since. We've gone to Makueni about 4 times between last year and this year, and we have seen the situation has actually become better. And now that we have even, at least now he has mentioned Boni, so that is an area I'll also mention to the people who are also working with us on the ground to also, go and see. Probably they have been there, but they have not covered. But Makueni is quite diverse, I can say. And we've gotten very good support from the county government, and we should be able to reach out to them.
Now, tomorrow is the Kenya Jigger Awareness Day.
Yes.
How do we become involved? It is okay for Ahadi Trust, and we say the government, serikali's idea. But you and I, what is it that we need to do?
One, if you are in a place where you spotted a victim or a jigger situation, how do you go about it? As a Ahadi Kenya Trust, we've gone out and we have informed you what to do. Then everyone, I can tell you for sure, everyone in Nairobi here hails from a village somewhere, and what have you done in your village to get rid of jiggers? That's one thing. That's one challenge as an individual, someone should give themselves. So make a difference. Go out there. If you can reach out to someone who has jiggers in your village, do it.
How do we reach out? What do we do if I needed to help a family that we think is infested? What do we take to them?
There's family at home, so you can find out who around our place is jigger infested, And the treatment for jiggers is very simple. With an antiseptic, that is Dettol, Savlon, all that should work. With soap, with a nail cutter, the treatment for jiggers is so basic that is probably you sacrifice your lunch for one day and you'll treat someone with jiggers. On the other hand, we have our Ahadi Kenya Trust. We have our handle. You can visit us and you can see how you can do that, because there's currently a campaign going on for us, Chakula kwa Wote, because we are also feeding these people who are jigger infested.
Right.
While we are going to treat them, there's the Chakula kwa Wote initiative that's running. If you're in Nairobi tomorrow and you'd want to reach out to someone who's jigger infested, contribute to the Chakula kwa Wote. So
keep it locked, of course, on Twitter. We shall definitely be giving you the contact addresses, website, and the Twitter handle for you to communicate with us. Now, Jane, of course, you're in communication. What are the things that we need our people to realize about jiggers as we wind up?
First of all, it's about stigma, yeah?
Yes.
Because one of the biggest problems I found was stigma. Children telling stories that my friends do not want to join me, my friends do not want to play with me, and children are made of play. And even some teachers, some adults, even at home, that people are stigmatized from all corners, that people with jiggers will not necessarily infect you. They need you to support them. They need you to do the things that Cecilia is talking about. They need food. They need, because like she said, these are things of poverty. If you see somebody with jiggers, their first problem is not jiggers.
No.
It's food in the stomach.
Yes.
So feed them first, clothe them, because
they need the shoes.
They have the shoes. I'm telling you, one of the biggest excitement about those children is that we are able now to wear shoes.
Oh dear.
That I can put shoes in and they could show you proudly that they can wear shoes
now.
Understand them. Understand them. Go down to their levels. one boy said, when Cecilia washed her feet, it was like Jesus washing his disciples' feet. You see what it means?
Selflessness. We need to serve.
Yes. We need to be with them. We need to walk with them. It doesn't matter. That they're in that condition. It is up to you to pull them out of that condition. So feed them, clothe them, understand them. Do you know that these kids were even discriminated by their own parents?
Oh no, it's your child.
Yes. A girl says that I wanted to make chapati, but my mother said that my hands are disabled, that I cannot making.
Yes,
I cannot make. So instead she would tell my brother.
Oh wow.
Unga. You know what that means to that child? If somebody did not come now and understand her and show her that she's important, that we show them that they're important, especially the children. Especially the children, because they have a whole life ahead of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, a whole life ahead of them. So do not kill them at this age. Do not kill them. Yeah. And like she said, I saw them healed.
Yes.
I saw them back to class. I saw them play with their friends. I saw them share things with their friends. And I'm telling you, some of them turned out to be the most amazing kids.
Wow.
Performing so well in there. So it is not their brain that has been infested with jiggers. It is only physical. It's a physical condition, and it is a social condition, like Mr. Kamau said. So it is up to our society to do what we need to do.
I don't know who, I think Cecilia is the one who's going to do this, because we mentioned it with Jane early, that one of the problems we have is traditionally how we store things. You know, these things of animals and what are some of the things that at home, when you're panging your home, what are the things that they need to do? You know, because we were saying before, like my shosho had her kitchen. She had the kuni there. There were the 2 chicken patching on the side. There were 2 goats, 2 sheep. Because so what are some of the things in terms of maintaining hygiene in the compound? What do we need to do? Very
by
briefly.
the way, this arrangement is still there.
That's what I'm saying. I know it is there. So what do we?
Home, you go rural, you find that there are people who will not let their chicken slip out.
So what do we tell them now?
Exactly.
What do we? How do we tell them?
There's a reason why they're actually sleeping those goats and chicken in the house, because of the insecurity out there.
But let's advise them a little on just how to jipanga the homestead. There are some things that if we started doing, things would be better.
When we normally go out there in the fields, most of the time when we have our social workers, they go and advise them how best to at least keep these animals. And also, if they are keeping those animals, they make sure the area, the environment they are in is clean. Then we also spray an insecticide to kill the fleas on the ground. We also advise them, or just the natural ways of just keeping the floor clean. You know, once unafagia kidogo, kifagia mwaga maji. If there's ash, you know, from the fire, you mwaga that ash, you mwaga water, then it becomes good. That area will not have jiggers. Also, if you have the cow dung is very good. It helps to keep off the fleas. So we advise them, our social workers advise them, because you'll find someone will be like, okay, mimi niko na kukutano, if I keep it outside it will go. You know, or at times we even have we make these movable sheds for the chicken and for the goats. So we try as much as possible as Ahadi to come out, at least help them in that way.
So thank you. And so remember, tomorrow we're marking the National Jigger Awareness Day, and eradicating jiggers starts with you and me. We have seen it is a social condition, so please, we need to ease on the stigma. And I like how it's been put beautifully. Jiggers may affect the body but not the mind. You may have some of the greatest people that Kenya will have with these problems for now. So let's see what we can do. I thank you very much to Jane Mumbi, my colleague from here, and also Cecili Mwangi, who is the Jigger Awareness Ambassador for Ahadi Kenya. Wishing you all a wonderful Wednesday.
Your national radio, KBC English Service.